What's going on, y'all? Been a while since we've done a Rate the Cards. I am joined by Matt Place, the lead on a very fun game that I have been playing recently. It is called Once Upon a Galaxy, and he is here to rate Marvel's Snap cards. Now, whenever I have game designers on this show, I find that they are extremely good at intuiting, so we're going to give them the hard course this time. These are going to be some difficult ones. Matt, would you care to tell them a bit about your background, your biography, so to speak, to justify why I'm giving you the hard course?
Yes, well, so I hope I can live up to it, right? The hard ones do sound kind of hard. I haven't played this game in a long time. I do kind of know the rules. My background, I started playing Magic right after I graduated high school. Pro Tour started a year after that. Won one of the early ones, right? So I was a pro player for a while. And then switched over, randomly talking to Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering, at breakfast and said, hey, how about I get a job working on Magic, right? And he's like, oh, do this, this, and this. And it began. So did that for about 7 years, got to lead a bunch of sets on Magic, switched over to a whole bunch of other games, right? Connected to a hilarious number of games now that I've been in the industry and now that I'm, pretty old. Hearthstone, got to lead a few sets on that, which connects me to Ben Brode, who I've known for, I think, over 20 years, a very long time. Big fan of Ben Brode. Got to play in the alpha, give him some feedback on Snap years ago. And I'm super impressed with it. Had some complaints, but he, obviously incredibly talented. So fun to work with, by the way. I don't know, I think most people know that he's a character, right? But yeah, so fun to work with. Huge fan of him, right? He's kind of and can do it all, right? He coded a lot of original Hearthstone. But I'll just tell you one quick story. I started working at Blizzard, and they're like, hey, you need to tell the whole company, right, 5,000 plus people at once, about the new Hearthstone set. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is making me nervous. What should I do? How do I break the ice? So I decided to, at the very beginning of my talk, do my Ben Brode impression. So I begin with, greetings, super loud. Everybody erupts in laughter, and it made me a little bit less nervous. So that was fun.
One time when the Marvel Snap people let me do a YouTube preview for a card, I did it in a Ben Brode impression. Like awesome. I got a flannel and glasses and I was talking very large and loud. I don't know how many people got that joke, but if you go back and watch it now, knowing that I was doing that, I think you will get it. I think maybe people just thought that's what I was doing, because I'm not far off from flannel and glasses, but I'm pretty far off from like, hello. And so
greetings, right, with that voice. Yeah. And working on Hearthstone, you just randomly down, the hall, hear somebody laughing super loud, and it's always been Brode. Anyway, it was fun to work with them. Yeah.
I will say this, since, like I said, this is the hard course. You know the basic rules, 12 cards in a deck, war at 3 locations, effectively, is what's going on here. I do have one question before we start, though, and it is, you said you gave him some complaints. Can I just ask, what were you complaining about in the Marvel Snap Alpha? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, I assume he's not going to be. Yeah, I don't think there's secrets.
No.
So many years later, but well, so the main piece was the snap mechanic and the doubling cube didn't have limits, and I forget exactly how it worked. It's been years, but you had all your points, right, and you could convert that into, I forget exactly how it worked, but to new cards, and there was also just a login bonus. But I remember feeling like I am kind of what I said to him is, hey, I am facing Elke, who is StarCraft Pro, played more Snap than me, genius guy, right? Not that I'm a slouch when it comes to card games. And he's doubling me back. And I'm like, I feel so much pressure by this, right? I know this guy's better than me.
Yeah.
And it's for all my points. I only have 4,000, but he wants to double it up to, 1,400 and is going to double again or whatever it was. And just feeling like it was too kind of in your face, the hey, I am better than you and now I'm rubbing it in type of feel, you know what I mean? And now, if I remember correctly, it caps at 8.
Yes.
Which is a lot less than 2,400 or I assume multiple of 2. But it used to, I think, not cap. And so
Fascinating note here. They made a game mode where they brought back like uncapped snapping effectively. And that was a lot of the feedback. And so when they brought back that game mode, they now made it snapping, but like against a bank. So you don't feel the pressure of when your opponent is snapping. You can raise the stakes for yourself. They can raise the stakes for themselves. And that's actually the game mode that is like existing as we're recording this. And that's basically an implementation of the feedback you're talking about, I think.
That's really cool because, yeah, I think, I forget exactly what Brode said in response, but he wants drama, right? And that was something, I love learning from the best, right? Eric Dodds, Ben Brode, a lot of people talk about is you need to feel something, right? It needs to matter, right? And so I don't think at that time he was like, oh, okay, Matt's got that, we'll note that, but we also have to have drama in our game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I haven't played it, but it's cool that there's a version that doesn't make me feel maybe as I'm putting much as at risk as maybe I'm still can win though. Yeah. But the real problem for me was, and I don't like it when games do this, I feel it in chess, right? Where it's like, oh, you just did that move. Well, guess what? You lose your bishop for free because I'm better than you at this game, right?
Yes.
It's like,
okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I
like
guess I'm an idiot.
It's the versus system problem, right? Where it's like the more the better player wins, the worse it is to play for everyone who isn't that guy.
Right. Dave Humphreys knew how to do all this positioning, right? Who's behind who, for sure.
Yeah, yep. Like it's definitely like a very interesting dynamic that Marvel Snap I think manages pretty well. Every time they introduce things that are like too good at mitigating the variance in the game, those things tend to get dealt with, I think. And I think a lot of it comes down to like, yes, you want drama, you want big moments, but you also want the game to actually feel like people are in it. And that's
right. How do you balance that as a game designer, right? Decisions matter, but there's also risk, right? There's also unknown. And it's something, we took a lot of notes from Snap on Galaxy, right? Is, how do we make, basically, how do we make it simple while still having risk? And, I love some of Brode's talks on Hearthstone too, right? The randomness in Hearthstone, obviously very controversial, right? The a lot of yelling online, Yogg, if you're days, I don't know how much Hearthstone you played, but it was very controversial.
Enough to know that I agree with Brode is what I'll say.
Yes, yeah, I could not agree with Brode more, right? And sometimes that vocal minority, is very loud about it. It seems like everybody hates Yogg, but they're wrong. Yogg is awesome. Yeah, we did a Brode stood up in front of the whole Team 5 at the time, probably 80 people, and he's like, okay, everybody raise your hand if you like, right? This middle of Yogg getting the hate. And basically the whole room, right? Everybody working on the game is like, yeah, I love it, right? And there's tons of pros, tons of casual people there. But it is, the drama is important. And it can seem like, oh, every post is negative. But actually, it's really fun.
I hate losing more than anything else. But I also recognize that in order for a game to exist, I can't win all the time because then nobody else would play. And that said, if it ever happens to me, delete all RNG, it's BS, I only lost because of this. I actually think that stuff's pretty important too. Like the ability to cope that it's something that isn't your fault. I think that stuff's pretty important. The other way about it, in order to keep people invested in the game. Because I think if a game just tells you, you're not good enough, that's a little bit worse.
Right. Like in basketball, when Brode and I would play, right? There's much less variance. So what is he supposed to do against me, right? I'm just so much better. Oh no, he's very good.
I was sitting there thinking, like, I'm pretty sure he's tall. Are you secretly taller than him? Like, I was making a face.
Is he 6'4"? He's got a couple inches on me.
He's pretty. He's up there, right? Like, it's definitely like I wouldn't want to play basketball against him. I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he's good at basketball. So.
Let's get into the actual card rating, because honestly, otherwise I would have this conversation for 2 hours. Let's actually do the video. So we are going to start rating the cards. I'm dropping you in cold because you did play this game in the alpha, all of that stuff. I don't have to explain the snap system. I don't have to explain like, oh, this is how big cards are, things of that nature. Hopefully, I might have to. But also, because the last time I had a game designer on here, he absolutely knocked it out of the park, so I'm going to explain even less to you. So, Crystal... 3-4 on reveal, each player draws a card.
Okay. So memory is she's kind of slightly above curve or maybe on curve because cost and power. I forget what the name of the actual stat is.
Those are in fact the names of the actual stats.
Okay, great. Yeah. Are pretty close. So I'm guessing she's not great stats wise, if I remember correctly. Each player draws a card. So throughout history of TCGs, this often is a mechanic that is beloved by people, right? They go, oh, I get to draw a card, and it's okay that they're drawing a card, yada yada yada. But you really need to take advantage of it for it to make sense. So I'm guessing this card is medium. But if you have something where you need a combo to come together and it's just a 12 card deck, maybe I'm wrong on that, and just you need a multi-card synergy, and this helps you get there, and it's good enough to run because it's also got decent stats. And then on reveal, I just want to make sure I'm right, is just essentially Battle Cry. It's
It's
just
ETB.
I play it and flip it over, and then I get the ability. Right. Okay.
That
So
is exactly what it is. Yes.
And, say it again.
That is exactly what it is. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to guess that this is medium, except for combos where you just need to draw up your deck. Then this is worth running there.
I think that's a very accurate assessment that makes me like I'm about to deviate and give you even harder cards. Because, that's exactly what Crystal is doing. This, I mean, like, I'm sure you were thinking of something like Howling Mine, right? Like, this is a card that you do not run unless you are doing something specific. And I think, actually, this is something that's probably worth getting a perspective from you as a game designer on. The role of card draw in Marvel Snap is very different from the role of card draw in another game because there's no attrition, there's no one-for-oneing, right? Card advantage, such as it exists in Magic or Hearthstone, isn't really the same kind of thing. It's more about acquiring your combo or making sure that your curve is perfect. And so Crystal is very often used in decks where there is like one card, and if I don't get it, I am out of here and basically nowhere else.
That makes sense, right? So it's more about selection. Yeah, I remember one of Garfield's early games after Magic was Vampire, where you draw back up to 7. So of course, at the end of every turn, of course, a draw 2 in that game is not really anything close to what it would be in Magic. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like I was close. Good.
No, you did really, really well on that one.
Okay, wonderful.
This is Beast. He is a 3/5. On reveal, return your other cards here to your hand. They cost 1 less next turn.
Okay, so so you can play as many cards as you have the mana, the
energy,
the powerful energy. Right, it's not 1 card per turn. I remember. I think I'm right on all this. So this just costs 3, right? Am I reading it correctly? That the left side
it costs 3. It has 5 power. I should let you know that's about what vanilla is now ish. Like there's been some growth in games, so technically vanilla stat line is 3/4, but like realistically, if you are a card people consider playing, you end up at 3/5, I think.
Okay. It sounds like that curve might have changed.
Might have gone up a little bit, yeah.
Okay, sure. So what immediately occurs to me is just the cost reduction, right? And all the on reveals is going to be so different for, let's say a 4, or I guess unlikely to be playing this after a bunch of 4s and 5s, but so different on a 2 that gets its cost reduced by half, or a 1 that gets its cost eliminated. So I'm going to get all those on reveals or be able to move my stuff so that I can win in one of the regions that I'd rather win in. I'm guessing that's less what this card is about and much more about on reveals that cost maybe 2, getting a lot of value out of this. And I'm guessing it's pretty good.
Yeah, you are only off in one thing, which is that it's about on reveals that cost 1. But yeah, that is what it's about. Like, okay, this is a bounce archetype staple. It is the defining card in any deck that would call itself bounce. It is the card for those decks. It's not like it goes in a bunch of different decks or whatever, but it is the card around which anything that is repeating that kind of cheap on reveal is oriented. This is like to use like, are you familiar with like the LSV Channel Fireball rating terms? Or it'd be like archetype staple versus like multi-format all-star or whatever. He's very much an archetype staple here.
I know LSV super well, but no, I'm not sure I know.
I use those terms in my head occasionally, where he would like rate cards in terms of like their function, because it's hard to talk about cards that exist in multiple contexts, right? Is a card that is build around in one deck better than a card that is the best mid-range cards that go in like 5 decks or whatever? How do you say one is a 4-star and one is a 5-star? You can't really, so you have to describe what they actually do. And so
Right.
this is an all-star in his archetype, but very limited to that archetype.
Makes sense. And you mentioning the ones makes sense too, because I'm guessing a lot of my best curves with this is turn 1, turn 2, 2 more ones, and then I do want to play this there. I'm guessing.
It can be a little bit iffy. He tends to be like, there are other cards that also bounce your stuff. He's the one you want to play last to take advantage of the cost reduction if you can, usually. But he's also like a guarantee in every deck that does this.
Right. Okay. And he can bounce a total of 3 guys, right? Because it's max 4 at a...
It's 4 spots.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I was close-ish.
I think you pretty much nailed that. Like, I'm trying to figure out specifically right now what I'm scrolling through looking for is like an even harder card. Like, okay, I got one.
Oh, fun. I love this art.
Yeah, so I have to explain how this works.
Okay.
4/7.
Don't know that.
Activate is you press the card and it's a one-time ability and it happens.
Okay.
Merge your lowest cost card here into this, copy its text like it just revealed.
Wow. Okay, let me read that again. Merge your lowest cost card here into this. Okay. So I'm guessing it kind of goes behind it. And maybe when I zoom this,
No, they literally become the same card.
They literally become the same
card. Imagine it eating the other card and then repeating its on reveal.
Okay. Repeats its on reveal. And now my text when I zoom this is that card that I ate.
And it gets the stats, yes.
Okay. And it gets the stats. Okay, cool. So, by the way, a couple game design things from Snap that I think is really cool is I don't necessarily need reminder text in a lot of these, right? Magic, you definitely do, right? You got to go read the FAQ sometimes, right? Magic's incredibly complex.
They did add reminder text, though. There you go.
It does have reminder text. Okay, yeah. So I generally don't need it, especially when the game was, let's say, an alpha. They were using, and I think Brode was kind of one person. I'm sure the team helped a bunch, but I think he described it to me as one person design team, which is also amazing to get millions and millions of people to love it. But anyways, I think that's a great goal, right? Like I'm reading more English than I am Magic-ese, we call it, right?
Yeah.
Where, target permanent, right? And Magic is just such an insane phrase, right? What do you mean permanent? How long? Permanent? No, we're not talking about duration. They named it permanent for no good reason, right? It permanent. What do you mean? It's not permanent. It dies every time I play it. And then the other thing, what was I going to say? And so part of my job, by the way, on Magic 2, part of my history was for a couple years, I was the FFL lead, which is the future lead. So I came in for balance testing, right? And then kind of switched over to the design side. But and one of the ways I describe it is we have to get this right? We have a very small team. It's a way larger team now. There's like 5 of us in this meeting room, a lot of good Magic skill there. But when we launch this set and it's not digital, so we can't just update it later, we have to be pretty correct because 10,000 people who are as good as us as deck building are going to tackle this set on day 1 and find all of our mistakes. So anyways, I hopefully do okay at guessing at this, right? Because it was a big part of my job on Magic. For sure. So merge. So this lets you double copy its text like it just revealed. Okay, so that makes it very clear you're going to get the reveal. I'm guessing that's what you tend to want to do. Yeah, I don't have a great guess here as to how good this is because I don't know, looking at Beast seems like it's better. This is a 7, which I'm guessing is above-ish curve, or maybe it's on curve.
In much the same way that 3/5 is kind of like 4/7 is kind of. They even actually moved the vanilla, the thing, up to 4/7. So like it's more explicit that 4/7 is the vanilla curve.
Okay. Oh yeah, and was he 4 for 6 when I first started playing?
That's correct, yeah.
Hulk was 6 for 10, maybe?
Yeah, Hulk is 12.
12.
Yeah.
12. Yeah, now I remember. Okay. So you activate this. It's the lowest cost. Yeah, I'm guessing the lowest cost card here, and it's other, I assume, right? So if I do happen to do this when there's a 5, it doesn't fail to work, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it'll hit the 5 if the 5 is the only thing there.
And then I can play this and then wait for the 6.
And you could,
click it. Okay. I'm guessing there's some pretty good 6s, so this is, I'm going to say, quite good.
I think probably the way I would describe this is closer to Crystal, where it's like it's definitely good in the very few decks that are able, like, it's not at crystal level, but between crystal and beast, it's definitely closer to crystal, where it's like you are only ever doing this if you are willing to make a huge investment. And so, like, you're investing not just this, but something else in this lane. And if you're playing a 4, then a 5, that's a big investment to make to just win one lane. So a lot of the things you do with this card are things that win every lane. Like, you do something stupid that tries to win every lane. Like, you play this, and then you play a card that doubles its power as an on reveal, and double trigger the doubling of power as it merges into this, and then copy that card. Like, that's the 4, 5, 6 that you do with this guy, but it's very telegraphed and very straightforward, and so you end up with a card that is like, I'm investing a lot in this, and if it doesn't work, I instantly lose the game, is a lot of what this card is doing. He's a very all-or-nothing Johnny investment type card in the way he actually plays.
Okay, so it sounds like it's kind of medium plus.
Medium something. Like, he's the only card that does what he does. It's just, like, what he does is risky. It's largely the issue. He does a lot of things that are at 48% win rate, but really cool.
Okay, cool. And I'm guessing too, right? He's pretty fun in that launch new cards that cost.
Hold on, your audio just dropped out there.
Oh. Hopefully you hear me now.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, I was just saying, it's also kind of fun whenever new 5s and 6s or whatever cool new power on reveals come out, you get to compare them to this, right? Oh, is it worth doing with Symbiote Spider-Man? I think it's less that you compare him to this because he's so pigeonholed in his role. Like, he's so much the combo guy at this point. Like, he is like he is here for, I'll just tell you, there's 2 cards that he goes with. One of them is Black Panther. That's the guy that doubles. The other one is Galactus, where you just want to make your Galactus as big as possible. That's the 6 that you would play him with. And Galactus, if you're winning his lane, blows up every other lane. The idea is always just, whatever I'm doing with this guy is going to transfer across multiple lanes. Like, and so he's less like a benchmark for other cards, and he's more just like the guy who does wacky stuff. Okay. Yeah, and you said that investing a 4 and a 5 to win one lane good enough, which is a good example of something I don't have.
Yes, it's the context, Yeah,
and also, thinking about it kind of Hearthstone or Magic, you also can't, I forget how much removal there is. Like, there was close to 0 when I played.
It's very close to 0.
Okay. Yeah, and in Magic, obviously, if you go, I've got a 4-drop that I need you to live so I can do my 5-drop next turn. Well, that's, kind of
that's
absurd,
not the risk so much. It's more like turn 6 disruption. Wiccan. 4/6 on reveal. If you've spent all your energy on previous turns, you get 2 additional max energy.
Okay. So this instantly strikes me as incredibly powerful. I feel like I was spending all my mana most of my turns. It also makes me wonder if there's some way to reduce this cost. Can I get this +2 to kick in on turn 4 instead of turn 5, right? Where I would get probably a pretty meaningful
I will tell
boost,
you, largely, there is not. There's not like a meaningful ramp into this guy option.
Right. Okay, and then I also assume there's nobody who costs 7, but maybe I'm wrong.
There actually are cards that cost 7. But they just like a card that costs 7 that discounts if you get like X like parameters on the board kind of thing.
So you don't need this to be able to cast your 7s because they have it built in. It's maybe okay.
Yeah, there's no Ultra Gigasaur or whatever. There's no like guy that just costs more than the mana you would normally have.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you spend all your mana, which I'm guessing you can do pretty consistently, and then why would this be good after that? Casting 8 drops all of a sudden, but you are casting 2 4s maybe is a good thing. And then this would also make card draw a little bit better because now I do want both. I want a lot of 1 2s and 3s to be able to match his to meet his requirement, And then I also want to have a few of those in my hand for when I do have 7 and 8 mana. So if this card is good, I'm guessing that's what the deck looks like. Some good 2s and 3s and 1s. Or maybe just 1/1. Is that still a thing? I heard he wasn't good. Who was it? Silver.
Quicksilver.
Oh, what is it? Quicksilver. Quicksilver, yeah. That guarantees you that. And then there's also a 2, maybe.
There
But
is
I don't
a
know.
2,
Those
yes.
guys, there's a 2
Domino.
that also does that. Okay, but I've heard those are not good. Yeah, I'm going to say pretty good. And it plays out the way that I'm guessing.
It's actually so messed up that you got to Quicksilver and Domino, because the explicit design goal, I interviewed the person who designed this season, and one of the design goals was we want to make a card that works with Quicksilver. Like, we want this to be a Quicksilver card. And for the longest time, it wasn't. It wasn't a Quicksilver card because largely the depth of like good enough 2s to justify being a Quicksilver card wasn't exactly there. But as time went on, this became a Quicksilver card. The more good 2s came out, the more it was justifiable to do Quicksilver, a bunch of good 2s, and then this, even though you're taking like a nominal hit to how often you get this card. So I would say right now, you were exactly correct in every single thing that you said, more or less, even down to Quicksilver. There are people who play Quicksilver Domino. The accepted route generally is Quicksilver and then normal 2s and 3s, a couple of big guys, and then you weave in the 2s and 3s, exactly as you described.
Okay, so a little bit of recovery from last card. Good, good. And by the way, I love when Brode posted the story of Quicksilver.
Yes, the Mulligan thing.
Oh, yes. Such an awesome design lesson.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Right. Because, sometimes when you come into games, right, as a competitive player or a new designer, right, which I was back in 2003, you kind of think everything's numbers and who cares about the art, right? Which is so wrong. So wrong. But it's the feel too, right? Like, how did I win, right? Why did this work out? Why didn't that, right? There's the math to it, the strategy of it, right? The logic of it that matters for winning. But there's also the feel and the vibe, right? And Quicksilver is such a great example of kind of tricks our brain a bit, right? And making us feel much better because it's like, oh, okay, there's a solution to this problem. Okay, well then I'm not going to use that solution, but at least there is one. And now I'm going to go along my day happy, even though I didn't solve the problem that I had yesterday. But knowing there is one makes me happier. Such a cool psychology lesson.
I am the psychopath of the Marvel Snap community. Like, that's the thing that I am. But the reason I started playing Marvel Snap is because of Ben Brode's track record at making games that feel good. Because one of the things that Hearthstone got very, very correct is the way the game reinforces your actions. All of the art direction, the vibrancy of it, like all of that stuff was a big part of starting a game like that to me. And when I like, okay, he's got the people that he worked with on Hearthstone who are coming over to do like the art stuff and the feel stuff for Snap. And when I played Snap, the feel of it, like when you play a big guy, the screen shaking, like that kind of stuff is so crucial. And I think like it is like, even for someone like me, the biggest psychopath on earth, I was drawn by the feel more than the math.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool, right? Because I was also ultra spiky, right, back in the day. And kind of the big punch in the face to me to kind of switch that was we're playing Magic without art, right? And my boss at the time, Brian Schneider, he would just write a 3 in red on a card. And now we're playing Magic, and it's like playing a card that says a red 3, and I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's Lightning Bolt, obviously. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You just win so much when you can't see the art. And actually, Alexis, who is the lead engineer on Once Upon a Galaxy, just to drop our game again, she joined. She was the first winner of the Great Designer Search back in 2005, I think. And she, being also a jack of all trades, just taught us how to print cards with the art so we could put in placeholder art and start to get a feel for the cards, even though it wasn't the final art. And it made a world of difference, right? We just had to sticker. And then so you'd see, Mark Rosewater for 3.5 hours stickering cards, paying him the infinite dollars a day to sticker some cards. But anyways, I made it.
I have heard and I've seen a couple of the Snap playtest things. They have like these little stick figures, like just little stick figure drawings on the cards for a little bit. I saw a couple of them. The ones I saw were from a while back. There's a card called Kate Bishop who generates arrows, and one of the arrows was just like it moves something, and so it was like referred to as plunger arrow, and it was just like a stick figure plunger. And I gotta tell you, I would pay for that. They should make those actual cards. That would be awesome.
That would be insane. They start, yeah. Here's skins you can buy, right? It's Ben Brode's 2-second art piece.
Yes, I mean, maybe
I think you're right.
Maybe his time is worth too much, but I would totally buy that. Like, I would absolutely buy like Ben Brode's MS Paint sketch. I think that would be awesome.
Love it.
I think this one's meaningfully tricky. Anti-Venom 4/7, set the cost and power of the top card in your deck to 0.
Okay, so obviously turning a 6 into a 0 is, I'm guessing, game winning generally, or one of the
it sets the
sevens,
power
maybe.
to 0 too.
Oh, set the cost and power. Oh, okay, so it has to completely be, you want the effect only, or it already is a 0. I assume things, there's, like in Magic, there's 0/0s that tell you, well, actually, I'm not a 0. I'm this other thing. I assume that still works with this. I'm thinking, Tarmogoyf or Lorgoyf, right?
Yeah, like if a Tarmogoyf would work like that, yeah.
Okay, so this would still combo with something like that. Okay. And then, brainstorm type effects. I don't remember any in Snap.
Not really.
Maybe there were some I'm just forgetting. But obviously that's where this, becomes incredible, right? Magic has had some of those combos, obviously, back in the day. Sensei's Divining Top, which I made, and it's my second worst design of all time. Yes, not my worst, believe it or not. Gosh,
what would you say your worst is?
Oh, it's Bridge from Below. Easy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No. Yep.
Yeah. I have so many stories about Magic, but yeah, one of those, the story there real quick is we're working on Future Sight, which I think is where we printed that. Yeah. And, it's like we're making all these complex cards and mixing two old mechanics together to make something else new. And it's like, hey, I don't think this is a great set. I don't think we're doing the right thing here. And Rosewater says, well, just pretend it was. What would you make if we were just trying to do all this, right? Combine old stuff and make this set complex. It's like, well, then I would make Bridge from the Below. And then we forgot to say, oh, wait, this is not a good idea to get out of that. But at the same time, it had, some cards people wanted, right? I think Tarmogoyf is in that set, right? So anyways, still sold better than some of the other sets. But anyways, yeah, so I guess I feel like I need to know the card file to really make a solid guess here. Do I have brainstorm effects where I can set this up?
I will tell you, there are no brainstorms. There are Tarmogoyf type things.
There are Tarmogoyf. So can I make my deck all Tarmogoyf / 6-drops? I'm guessing no. I don't really know. I'm going to say this has amazing moments when you get it all to work out, but the deck isn't consistent enough that runs it without those effects. And what else would there be that would make me wrong about this? Can I put a card back into my deck? I guess that's kind of brainstorm, isn't it?
You can. It's not relevant to this guy. I'll just tell you that for free.
Okay, well that's where I'll put my guess. It has hilariously overpowered moments, but isn't consistent.
I think that's largely correct.
Okay.
In terms of things that could make you wrong about this, there are ways to undo the setting of the power to 0, which is the meaningfully largest part of this card's play.
Okay.
But I think you were mostly in the ballpark, which a lot of what people do with this is just I'm going to hit something where even if I don't undo it, most of the power is the ability anyway, so I don't really care, right? The Tarmogoyf thing, right? Where it typically goes in decks that are either A, able to undo it, B, don't care about the things getting zeroed out that much, or C, both, right? So typically that is how this guy will see play. I would say that is a very good answer, personally.
Okay. It sounds like you can get 8 to 11 of those cards with him, so you're hitting enough of the time, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, he's also just a decent enough body where it's 4/7 isn't embarrassing. So just 4/7 that can randomly win you the game. There are decks that are just yeah, I'll just take that flyer, I'll take the flyer on my opponent has no idea what my information is. One of the things in Snap that's probably worth talking about in terms of how you should evaluate these cards is range on the final turn, because if you are very easily able to estimate your opponent's range, that is a very easy win for you. If you are, or at least a very informed retreat. If you don't know that, for example, I have the big 6 Tarmogoyf effectively that costs 0 in my hand, you don't know what that card is. It could be that, it could not be that, which means I'm getting wins off of retreats, and I'm also getting wins off of when it is that card. And so I think that's a part of the dynamic here.
Cool. So this is probably I'm guessing, a more fun card. Sounds like it, right? Having hidden information that your opponent's, trying to guess it. Sounds.
I think it's quite good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember. Was it Odin? I'm trying to move everybody left or something, right?
Heimdall.
And what is it? Heimdall. Okay.
Yeah.
And as I'm playing it, I'm like, Elky knows I do this every time. Like this isn't gonna work. Whatever it was, right? He knows what I'm trying to set up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of got into that, predicting and what's the range that you have. But I don't really understand it for Snap.
I mean, that's still move decks are still like that. You have to guess whether they're going to Heimdall or not, though. Like, because if they do it, like they could just not do it and play a normal big guy, and then you played for them to do it. And so, like, it's this inherent 50-50 there. That is a pretty interesting dynamic that, I don't know. I'm not sure I love it, but it is cool.
Okay. Sounds fun. Guessing games. That's I love that about Snap. Guessing is so much a part of it.
Yeah.
That keeps it, kind of edge of your seat without having to add a ton of complexity, right? When you show me, you show a random player this game for the first time, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be face down, then it's gonna doesn't know until you reveal. It's just like you can get behind that, right? As opposed to, hey, you should sacrifice your Mog Fanatic to remove his Bridge from the Below in response to blah, 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 which I've actually seen somebody teach a new player with Bridge from Below deck. It blew my mind. But anyways, yeah.
I think that largely what gives, like, if you ask me to name one thing that gives Snap its play complexity, it would be that a deck with less total point output can beat a deck with more total point output by investing it properly on the correct locations. Like, that is largely the thing that gives the final turn such nuance, I think. And that is like, because without that, it's just numbers. But with that, as long as things aren't too multi-location-y, it'll always have this dynamic where it is possible to invalidate your opponent's investment in a location by not investing in that location.
Which is great. And I can get, even if I'm not a strategist, in game 3 of Snap, which is awesome.
Yeah. Let's move on to Mr. Modok, which I think you're a game designer who's played Magic for 20 years. You know that people can discard for upside. You know that's a thing. I'm like, that's just going to be a thing people are going to be able to do. I'm giving you this card anyway. 5/7, discard your hand.
Yes. So I do have a memory of something that you discard and that would play it. I feel like, Sam or somebody was telling me about it. So I assume that's the whole story here is I want to do this so that some of my cards get cheaper, get played for free. Kind of like, what is the new mechanic they just did in Spider-Man for Magic? I forget the name, but anyways, there's the new play from your graveyard when you discard it mechanic. I'm guessing that's the story here. What else would there be? If your hand's empty, guys, in play that care about your hand being empty, I could see that being in design space, right? Which makes me want to play maybe this or a cheap deck so that I'm emptying my hand. I don't really remember how I used to finish, right? If I played Hulk as my 6, did I end the game with 3 cards in my hand, 5 cards, 1 card? I don't have a great memory of that. But this is bad stats, so it has to be all about the whoever it was that gets played when you discard them. So I assume that's the deck. What am I missing here?
No, that's the deck.
Okay.
Yeah, the deck is just like a bunch of cards that say, when you discard me, I do something cool. And that can be like, I split into 2 cards and they both cost 0, or I instantly go onto the board, or I gain 4 power, or any of that stuff. The deck is all that. That's just like, when you discard me, I do something cool, and then this guy is the card that says, well, you're discarding all of these guys.
Yes. I don't know if it's related to this, but you said I get better when you just... We did you play Rise of Eldrazi, the first Eldrazi set?
Yeah. I
Okay.
I have fond memories of that set. Like I played very limited time periods of Magic. I played like Rise of
Okay.
Eldrazi through the beginning of Innistrad, and I
Oh,
played
good.
like some various arena formats. So like the third Ravnica, I want to say. Third
Okay.
Ravnica standard and a little bit later. And when I was a child, of course, the set that came out was Onslaught, which is will always be my
Okay.
baby.
Oh yeah.
1313 Croson
Love
Cloud
Onslaught.
Scraper, never not gonna be my dog.
Yes.
From Legions, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Innistrad. So Rise of Eldrazi 3 Innistrad is a really good run. Some really good
Yeah,
sets
it
there,
was a good
right?
run, yeah.
Moving Zendikar. Innistrad, my favorite limited set of all time, the first Innistrad, and the first Magic set I didn't work on after my run. So pretty embarrassing. Yeah, I was like, man, Magic's getting way better. Whoops. But yeah, so my last lead was Rise of Eldrazi. So that's the last set I led.
Sure.
I still worked on some design teams after that, but that was my last lead. And then I finished a couple more. But yeah, we put the mechanic on the original Eldrazi. As you know, if I go to your graveyard from anywhere, shuffle in.
Yes.
And to me, that's like, okay, that's mostly so that it's anti-reanimator, right? Kind of the opposite of Modok. To be not let you play your Eldrazi for too cheap, right? We put that, but this is a great example of me being too spiky, right? Not getting the full picture. When we showed that to the playtest groups, which were kind of customer service people around the building that weren't pro Magic players, they flipped out over it. They loved it. Wait, the best creature in my deck, anytime it dies, is going to go back into the deck. They loved it, right? So it was a great lesson where we're like considering, is this trinket text worth it? Is this the way we should be fighting Reanimator with these guys? And then you see how popular it is, right? Something that didn't resonate with me, just hugely popular for them. Anyways, yeah, fun design lessons.
I would argue that ties into discard as an archetype, right? This is an archetype that resonates with a ton of people. Like this is discard as an archetype. There are a couple like resonant archetypes in Marvel Snap. You talked about Heimdall with move. There are like Deadpool destroy decks, and then there are discard decks. Those are like the resonant archetypes that exist in Snap. And I think you could argue everything else is like some form of mid-range pile or ridiculous combo with different flavors of that. But like what I appreciate about these decks is they manage to be in the same space as mid-range pile or ridiculous combo. You could definitely describe them all as combo decks, but they have such a specific flavor to them that gives them this resonant appeal.
That kind of counter to the normal play often resonates, right? When I first started, right, Millstone, right, Deck You, there was the group that loved that, right? And obviously we tried to do it a bunch in Hearthstone as well. Oh, you normally play this way. Here's another way. Which it sounds like this is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just counterintuitive and different enough that even though it is like what I really appreciate about these decks is yes, they are like dumb combo decks, but they build on each other. It's not just put my combo together in my hand and I play it. It's like progressively over the course of the game, I am building my board towards my combo. And I think that kind of stuff is resonant here.
Cool. With decisions as you go, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Marvel Snap, everything is a decision because of placement. So there's never not, like, unless you are, like, doing something really, really dumb, it's just probably not happening. Dr. Doom. You might remember this guy. On reveal, add a 5-power Doom bot to each other location. He's a 6/5.
I feel like I do remember this, or somebody else who was making tokens had a 5-power Doom bot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember this. So looks like he's reasonably well. No, I guess so. He's 15 power.
Yes,
5-power Doom bot to each other location. How good is he? So until you start telling me combos or filling up lanes, I forget if there's like filling up. Do they call them lanes? Filling up regions.
Locations.
Was that something that would give you a reward? I know that it was true for Iron Man because he doubled your total there. Let's see, what else would this combo with? Are there things when you make a token, make an token? Is there, I forget how much character type mattered. I feel like it was not a huge.
Not at all.
I don't have like, bots get bonuses. That's interesting, right?
There is actually, I should clarify. There is literally one card for which character type can matter. but it is like one card.
Interesting. I would guess there's a bunch, but maybe it's more just theming the characters who should work together. Maybe.
Yeah, it's much more that.
Yeah. Okay, because I remember that with Guardians of the Galaxy, they weren't really like synergistic. They just had that same reveal text. Yeah. Yeah. Why would this guy be good? He was bigger than Hulk was in terms of total power. He makes it less of a get. Just playing him straight up is less of a. I'm not guessing anymore, right? I also can't fill up my lanes before I play him, I guess, which maybe some decks want to do. So who knows? He doesn't sound that good to me because I'm having trouble figuring out the like when is he worth 30 instead of 15. If you win all your lanes isn't a thing, right? Right, because that's winning already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, nothing's jumping out at me as like to synergize with him, so I'm gonna go. He's medium.
He is medium. I will say I was a little bit unfair to you here because there is exactly one card that does synergize with tokens, and it synergizes with him. So, like, I was being unfair.
Funny.
But...
No. Yeah. 2099 to a random location if you played exactly one card.
And the Doombot 2099s add power to Doombots,
okay,
right? So, like, there's other things that you could argue synergize with him. But largely, you ended up with the correct thing anyway, which is, yeah, he's pretty medium. He used to be like sort of the premier 6-drop in the game, just by virtue of being big. Yeah, like, but as they've made more cards and as people have gotten better at the game, people have gotten better at targeting 2 lanes in such a way that it's like, if my opponent is a Doctor Doom deck, I'm just going to beat the 5 in 2 places, and I don't really care anymore. And B, 15 is just less. Like, if he was a 6/15 that was modal between being a 6/15 and splitting it, that'd be a really interesting and much better card, but he's not modal. And so if you recognize what your opponent is doing, it's just like, well, I'm either going to win or I'm going to retreat. And that's a bad equity situation.
Sure. And I'm also remembering a card that make a token like it was a 1/1. It's a 1
You're thinking of Ultron, probably?
Okay.
The drone man.
Combo. Oh, wow. No, I don't remember this guy.
Oh.
To play 4 2-power drones in each other location. Okay, fun. 4 2-power. So there I
Actually, yeah, let's rate Ultron. Let's see what you think.
To play 4 2-power drones to each other location. So Snap is very good at this, but this reads to me as either 8 or 4. Let's say I was totally empty on my lane. To 4 2-power drones to each other location.
It fills the locations with drones.
Know.
It fills the location. Whatever spaces you have left, you get a 2-power drone in, basically.
So I could get 8.
Yeah, you could get 8.
Right? Okay. A little, yeah. You see why I got a little confused there, right? Because 4? No, it's 8. Even though it says 4. But yeah, okay. That makes sense.
It's because they used to be 1-power drones. They made the card a little better, so they made them 2-power drones. So it probably wasn't as confusing when it wasn't saying 2 different numbers next to each other.
Oh, sure. Okay, I see. Yeah, so this makes me want to have... Well, I get more value out of this the emptier those other 2 locations are. I want... But it seems really hard to get 8 out of this. Like, how could that be a good play? You need stuff. I guess... Well, so there was... Mr. Fantastic said... I think he said to the left and right of me gets a bonus. So maybe there's more stuff like that would make this good to get 8. But my guess is, and I could easily be wrong on this, it's more valuable to get 3 somewhere, but have something... Oh, my dogs are going crazy now. I wonder if that's the big issue. Hey guys, you're okay. Yeah, so I'm going to guess that this guy has some cool synergies. You really need the power. You need to get probably 6 out of this and have a reason why they're much better than 2, which I'm guessing exists. And so you play to 1 lane, play this as your last one in that lane, win that lane, and then your opponent struggles to win the other 2 because you're doing something where these are better than just 2. Maybe.
That's about right for the bull case for this card. It's just that it's not actually all that good. Like, if you are playing this card, that is what you're doing. But if you're trying to win, you're mostly not doing that. And so like
Okay.
that, like there are cards that are like, all your cards with no abilities get stronger. All your 1-drops get stronger. And so the idea is you play those cards, you play Ultron, and suddenly these guys have 5 power instead of 2, and it's awesome, and it's a big amount of numbers, but it's not a big enough amount of numbers to make it a reliable combo, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
In Marvel Snap, a lot of what being a combo deck is actually just creating large enough numbers that no normal deck can approach that. And unfortunately, when this deck combos off, a lot of normal decks can approach it.
Okay. It just occurred to me too that there might be some but if you play Hearthstone Battlegrounds, these type. If you try to summon somebody, but you can't. But I'm guessing that doesn't exist in Snap.
No, there's no bonus for if your lanes are full. Yeah. Your lanes are full, that's on you. It ain't helping you.
Makes sense. Okay, cool.
Welcome to the hard mode, dude. Good luck with this.
Hard mode. All right.
Game start. Shuffle 12 new cards into your deck. They are fully random, selected from the entire card pool. On turn 3, you get +1 max energy.
Wow. Okay, so shuffle 12 new cards into your deck. On turn 3, get max. But, okay, so a few rules things here.
Sure.
My hand is still my hand. Shuffle 12 new cards into your deck doesn't remove my hand.
Your hand is drawn after the cards are shuffled.
Game start. Okay, duh. Yeah, it says that. Game start. Okay. And then is he part of my deck? I hope not. But I get
he is.
He is part of my deck. Okay.
And that is, yes, you are correct in identifying that as a downside. Yes, he is a 7/7. That is not what you want to be doing.
Right. Okay. So I'm guessing this is pretty fun, but bad. Because +1 maximum energy without all the combos that I'm wanting to build, really just can't get there.
That's accurate to him now. He's a little contextual because in a tournament game mode, the extra cards go from like being not important or not relevant or all downside to like my opponent doesn't know what I'm playing around. So in like an open deck list format, he actually typically overperforms. And Marvel Snap tournaments are largely an open deck list format, so he is like a guy who overperforms in that context. When he came out, this guy was busted. Because the energy didn't start on turn 3, it started earlier. And the earlier you get that extra energy, it started at the beginning of the game. So the earlier you get that extra energy, the more ahead of your opponent you're able to get. And they made it start on turn 3. That was like a very meaningful nerf. He is now, I think, largely the issue he runs into is he's only good in metagames where everyone is playing kind of fair. Because he can't really put disruption in his deck. So if you combo off, he just looks at you and he's like, well, I played a guy that was bigger than your guy. But if you're getting synergies out of your deck, your synergies are going to overpower his stats. So he's sort of like the Marvel Snap equivalent of, here's an analogy for you. He's like Marvel Snap Valakut deck.
Okay.
That's the analogy I'm going to throw at you here. It's just like, or more generally, like he is the ramp deck of the format. Where it's like, if people are comboing off, he's got nothing for that. But he will be able to beat the people that are smaller than him.
Gotcha. Okay. Because you're getting to do 5s on 4 and yada. That makes sense. The ramp. Okay. So, funny you mentioned Valakut.
Sure.
There's a story there.
Okay, go ahead.
So Steve Warner built that deck. We did not know about that deck more than halfway through balance testing. Was that Zendikar?
That was Zendikar, and then the Titan was in M11, I want to say.
Right.
M10.
Were great design.
Sorry.
So a cool deck, glad it existed. It was almost shipped incorrectly. First so Steve Warner discovers the card's too good. Thank you, Steve. By the way, Steve goes on to be one of the main...
I'm sorry? We had the...
he's one of the main... sorry about the mic messing up.
It's whatever.
Steve Warner was one of the main people on Lorcana. Which obviously... Crazy success, right?
Yes.
2 years ago, whenever it launched. So Steve discovers this deck. We realize we need to do some balancing, so and then Dell, the editor, will do this like, okay, speak now or forever hold your peace, where she puts all the cards large on the big screen, and there's like, I don't know, 30, 40 of us in the room, and we all go, yep, that's correct, right? Just to make sure, right? The final pass. But otherwise, it's ready to ship to the printers. And Valakut was one less land. We almost shipped it. And busted as it was, and we're looking at it, we're like, didn't we say 6 or whatever? I forget the numbers now. But yeah, that card almost shipped where I almost certainly would have had to ban it out of the gate. So that was a close call. But yeah, that card we did not discover early. Yeah.
How sad are you, like, retrospectively, that you didn't have the ability to just be like, I'm going to change one number on this card? Like, how much would that have done for your process to just be able to, like, go back and be like, yeah, this guy's a little bit bad, but here he is now and he's still playable?
Yeah, it's huge, right? So I started working on digital TCGs probably, I don't know, 2013, let's say, 2012, right? I did the original Runeterra, actually, called Bacon. Which, I was the lead for that.
I played that game. I played that game for like Runeterra.
Yes. So, okay, good. Yeah. Fun game. Yeah. A lot of my friends, did a great job on that. All right. So, but yeah, so went from this mindset, right? My whole design first 7 years was on Magic, was when we ship this, it's forever. And I think we did a pretty good job. I started 2003, right? I was not there for, if people remember Mirrodin, right? The artifact lands, right? I was not there for that.
No one's going to blame you for Skull Clamp. It's okay.
Skull Clamp, I also am not, was not there for. But I am there for some mistakes, and, it's embarrassing. But anyways, but I was in that mindset of like, whatever we ship, it's like you're firing it off and you don't get to call it back, right?
Yeah.
So switching to digital games, it took me a while to kind of understand, hey, it's okay if this is a 3. Right now it costs 3, but it's supposed to cost 4 or 2. We can do that later. I was still in that mindset of like balance test, which still, creates good value, right? But I didn't quite get it. And then working with Mike Donay, who's a superstar also, right? Hearthstone, starting to really understand that not only do you want to change the numbers to get them right, but it creates content, right? We had Blizzard Earth, was that what it's called? Where we could just look at, basically engagement. Who's logged in right now? Oh, we have 83,000 people playing Hearthstone right now. And when we would do a patch where we do a balance change, that skyrockets up to 160,000, right? Because people heard about it, yada, yada. They want to check out the new meta, etc. So not only was I supposed to get out of that mindset of like fire, once you fire that, you're forever locked in, but you're actually supposed to balance change just to create content too. It's kind of interesting sometimes. I don't know how much Snap does that. We do that a decent amount on
They
Galaxy,
do the hell out of that. They just did a balance change where they were like what you just elucidated, I strongly suspect to be their actual policy, which is like, look, what we could do is change all of this stuff that we think is slightly wrong. But if we change it all at once, then there is texture, there is content to be found in the texture of the metagame as we iterate on these changes. Sometimes they take even bigger swings than that, though. They did, most recently, they just were like, there's a bunch of cards that are like effective removal. What if we just got rid of them? Like, what if we just nerfed all of them? What if we just did like 2 weeks without Doomblade or whatever? Like, effectively, that's the kind of thing that they did. They were like, what if we did 2 weeks where Doomblade is 2 BB? And that is like the patch that's currently on live right now. And I can tell you, it's definitely made people look at the game more. Like, it's definitely like been a content plus, and understanding balance as a lever of that, I think, is something they definitely get.
Yeah, which is, I think, very smart, right? You get to have all these other game pieces have new meaning. When, in your example, Doomblade, without having to make a new 30 cards or 150 cards, right? Like we had to for Magic to get it to be a real new thing, right? Unless we were doing bannings or whatever, which is just awful on paper, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Do not want to do that, right?
Yeah, like balance changes are fraught enough in Marvel Snap where they, as far as I can tell, make a genuine effort to make sure if they nerf something, it's still playable. Like, they try, and they do pretty well at that. No one's going to be perfect at it, but they do try. And they're fraud enough here. Yeah. I can't imagine what the lines you guys had to what it had to be to justify an actual banning of people's physical assets.
Right. It was huge, right? I'm proud to say in my 7 years with you. But because, that moment where, the 13 plays Stoneforge Mystic, and his opponent says, sorry, you lose. You can't run that card. Well, how's that experience, right? That's worse than any type of losing,
Yeah.
whatever. Right? That's just like, well, how do I know? How was I supposed to know that? And the guy got mad at me for cheating, quote unquote cheating, right? It's just awful. Yeah. Stoneforge was too good.
I
That was
I really profited during the Stoneforge era because I was like a broke college kid. So
okay.
I was only playing budget decks. And I got Stoneforge Mystics to play Quest for the Holy Relic. And I got Mox Opals to play Koldatha Rebirth. And just like in terms of like the analogy I like to use is it's like my shitty crypto coin popped off. Like it's like I bought Bitcoin. Like that's basically what happened. And unfortunately, that is the price of those cards is entirely related to like whether or not they're legal to play. Yes. And it's just like an incredibly fraught environment to exist in. It feels like I know you guys are not allowed to even like consider or talk about that stuff, but like just the advances that digital has given to the game in terms of not having to cross that bridge every time, unbelievable.
Oh yeah. And it's totally different approach from the design perspective, right? Like, the philosophy on thinking about how to balance a.
You lost the sentence there. You're going to have to start over from the philosophy. Every time you move back is what happens. Like it's.
The dog's barking, not helping either. Sorry about that. But so the philosophy of balancing a game that you cannot, no take backs versus take backs, right? Is so different because you can't come at it like, we're going to get this perfect. You have to think more in terms of ranges, right? It's a little different than what you're talking about, but very related to, what you're talking about the last turn of Snap. Like if we're wrong on Swans, how bad is it? If we're wrong on, the Titans, how bad, what goes wrong there, right? And actually the Green Titan is a good example of that. It used to be when it attacks, you can destroy an artifact, enchantment, or flying creature, right?
Sure, and
if that card, right. Naturalized. Well, yeah, there's a card that does that.
That's the one that does all three. Yeah, like I was like, there is something, but yeah.
Yeah, and when that goes wrong, how unfun is it? Well, it's like I got 2 more flyers in my hand. Should I play them so that they can just die instantly for no cost to my opponent because they're just going to attack with the Titan again? So when you get that wrong, it goes pretty wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So we had to think in those ways, not just what is the math, what are the numbers that are correct, but also how bad are our mistakes if we make them? How bad is our mistake if you can, kill people on turn 1? With Cart Clan Ironworks. That's pretty bad. Quite bad. So that's 2 cards I got to have an input on. We were already pencils down, we called it, with all of Mirrodin block when I started working at Wizards. But my 2 pieces of input for that block were Cart Clan Ironworks should cost 4 instead of 3. I built a deck.
good call.
Can you believe that? Yeah, it's still turn 2 kills in standard. And then Serum Visions, is that the right card? Anyways, the opt that was in that set.
Yeah, that's Serum Visions.
Should not be an instant.
Sure. So, also a good call. Yeah,
there we go. So those are the 2 things I did for Mirrodin Black. Well, I feel like I've been doing okay. Haven't been letting you down on the game.
I haven't even been keeping score. If anyone out there is keeping score, I just want you to know don't. I was going to say something ruder. I was going to be like, oh, you're a loser, but you're not. You're just a devoted fan of my content. I don't want to call a devoted fan of my content a loser, but also nobody is keeping score of this. So I'm not actually talking to anybody. Like it's a hypothetical person that I'm dunking on. Green Goblin. This is our Fleam.
Interesting. This is our what?
You're aware of the Magic? They did like the Magic Universes Within thing. One of their Green Goblin cards got turned into a card called Fleam, who's like slowly becoming a mascot of the. So I have in my head started referring to him as our Fleam. They made like a Green Goblin card, and because they had to translate like all of the types onto something, he's just like this like horrific homunculus, because like how else do you do like goblin human villain in like any kind of realistic way? So
what a letdown that they had to switch all the.
It's not great. It's not great.
Whose fault is it? It's Snap's fault, I assume. I don't really know.
It might actually be. I have no idea. Like I do wonder if it is entirely down to like they just couldn't sell the digital license twice, or Wizards didn't want to pay for the digital license. I've wondered if it was us before, but I have no idea.
Yeah, sometimes those deals also surprise you. Like, why did it? I never would have guessed. Right? It might be one of those 2. I assume it's Snap. Already has the.
Dude, you're breaking news here. Like this is breaking news. This is our fault. This is incredible. I never knew.
I
I had guesses, but they were only guesses, right? And so like I assume this is still your guess, but it's just like I never like you saying that feels like it's like, oh, that's actually possible. I thought it was just like a vibe.
Yeah. I bet I could, ping some friends and get a read on them.
I want to know if you can do that.
I don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do not know for sure. Actually, Mike Turian, who's still a bigwig over there, he was in town. I live in Kansas City now. I moved back to my hometown, and he was here. We went to a baseball game a few weeks ago. Could have pinged him about it.
If you find out, let me know. I actually don't let me know. I'd probably tell people. Don't tell me. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good guess.
Okay.
But yeah, when you're working on the inside of the game companies, sometimes it is like you know the actual answer, but the entire audience is certain. And you can't really convince them. You're like, no, actually the story is different, but of course you're not going to. The obvious version is what everybody's going to believe, which makes sense, but yeah. So two thoughts immediately on Green Goblin. By the way, looking at these cards too, it's interesting how many different skins they have, and we're adding more to Galaxy.
They are incredibly skin maxed in this game.
Yeah.
There are so many cosmetics.
And you have 3 here that look the same but not.
Right? Those are splits, right? So it's not just the skins, but it's also the background designs on them. So you work your way to different background designs, right? So this one is golden, right? You through like using currency on it or whatever, but like free to play earn currency or whatever. But the actual skins themselves are with gold, which is the paid currency. So if you want the art to be different, that's what you pay for. If you want the design, like if you want the gold on the base art, that's what you can do free to play. That's typically how they set it up.
Well, this version you have big looks amazing. I love the glow on the pumpkins. Yeah,
the art in this game is genuinely crazy. Yeah. Like I talked about the feel of Hearthstone being a big reason why I switched to Marvel Snap. The art design and direction in this game is unbelievably good. It is really like one of the best things about the game by a pretty decent margin.
Yeah, agreed. Looks great. Okay, so mechanically, the two things that pop out to me is it's interesting to have a -4, right? So this is stats-wise, if I don't do any combos, it's a 4 is kind of how I would measure it, which is below the curve, you said. But also it's taking up a slot, which I'm guessing is switch sides, but I can't do that on the last round to block them because it has to do on reveal. But
you can
filling up a 3,
you can play it on the last round. It's just like if they fill up the lane, it won't go over there.
Won't go off. That's what I meant. It's like if you've got this whole plan and then you're going to play win, I needed to do that on turn 5 to stop you.
Yeah.
6. But still, it does sound like a thing to stop people. Like you mentioned the Galactus deck. I don't know how often Galactus gets to on that region, location until, right? I don't know exactly how that would play out, but I can see this being disruption in a way that's, could really hose somebody. Yeah, I don't have a good sense of that, but I'm guessing that's a thing. Also, why is it a -4 instead of better? Because that's powerful, I'm guessing. And then maybe there's also, +2/+2 for each opposing guy type stuff that makes this better. What else would there be? Copying it? Doesn't sound like that would be a thing. Oh, ruining. I remember a guy who's like 4, I think.
You remember a guy who's what?
Wasn't there a guy that was like, if I'm alone in my...
Oh, you're talking about like Namor, right? Like if I'm alone in my location, I get bigger. Those are definitely cards, yeah.
Okay. Those are what?
But there are cards like that, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it could disrupt that. I don't remember those being exceptionally powerful, but... Okay, so that's my thought, is the best use of this is to make somebody go up to 4 so that it ruins their plans.
Yeah, no, I think this is like a pretty important Marvel Snap like general thing, which is the closest thing Marvel Snap has to card advantage in a meaningful sense is board slots. It's not an exact one-to-one comparison, but Marvel Snap, your plays are limited by the amount of space you have. So attacking your opponent's space limits them in a meaningful way that like there are decks that are fully about doing that. Fully clog decks that are just like, you don't get to do anything. I am doing like deck of Green Goblins effectively, right? And there are ways to beat that, obviously. Like like we talked about Beast earlier. It's really bad if you've invested like, I'm going to spend a bunch of time clogging your lane and your opponent is just like, actually, you didn't do that. The investment is heavy because, as you mentioned, 4 for 3 is not a good deal. But
right, okay. Yeah, I'm remembering asteroids or something would clog me, right? Rocks.
There is a card called Debris that would spawn rocks on both sides of the board. She's often played in concert with Green Goblin. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
And that is largely the idea. It's a deck that fully attacks your opponent's ability to even play the game. And I think that board slot efficiency is a big part of why, for example, the vanilla curve got moved up a little bit, it feels like. Because when you talk about a 3-4 being the vanilla, that's not a very efficient use of that board slot. So once they start making cards that are like 3-5, these are actually meaningfully bigger than both a 1 and a 2 at this location. That, I feel like there's always been some sort of unexplained thing to me where once a card hits 5 power, I actually feel like it's meaningfully impacting the lane and can win a lane. And basically everything smaller than that is unable to do so. And once that started showing up on 3s, it was like a meaningful evolution in terms of how people evaluated remaining board space. It's not always the most relevant concept in every metagame, but Clog, and by extension Green Goblin, is basically always around as a, like, 2 to 5% play rate deck that is menacing people in this way.
Oh, okay. 2 to 5%.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I think there have been metagames where it has been better, but it is awkward enough with the snap system that people don't love playing it because nobody stays when they're dead, and the cubes double on the final turn of the game, so there's some naturally inbuilt bad equity there.
Oh, right. Yeah, you saying 2 to 5% kind of addresses what I was going to ask. How unfun is this, right?
Oh, super unfun.
Right, because in Magic, right, Magic started with land destruction, right? How many land destruction cards were there in the first year? I'm going to say 7. I don't know. It might be more than that, right? You don't count Desert Twister, but, cards that were meant to destroy lands, way too many, right?
Oh, yeah.
You could have 16 in a deck. Super unfun. And the amount of time telling somebody, no, we're not doing 3-mana stone, right? Even though people thought that was a good idea or they had nostalgic memories of. No, it sucks. When it's good, it ruins the fun, right? There's other ways to disruption that are back and forth and give you a chance, right? Obviously, Magic, I'm at 0 lands. I hope I draw one that you obviously have. One of your 5 cards is going to destroy. Let's play this game out. No, awful, beyond belief, right? And then when discards do good, it's that as well. That's what I would worry about without really knowing how powerful Clog is. It's just like, does this make me lose hope? One of the super, I forget her name, but she gave a great frustration, right? This really relates to drama being important. Frustration is actually a motivator, right? If you just think about it like, playing a crossword, I'm like, oh, I'm slightly frustrated with Sunday's crossword puzzle, right? That's a good thing, right? You don't want it to be easy because then I just don't do the crosswords anymore, right? So having some amount of frustration, healthy, but the way she described it, she's actually a neuroscientist, game designer, right? So she's perfect for giving talks on this, but she kind of described it as, this slope. You want frustration to be there in front of people, right? They know it's going to be there. They're feeling it. They're trying to overcome these puzzles. But if you take them too high too quickly, it becomes a cliff and they'll quit your game. Right. And I'm sure you and I have quit lots of games that are way too frustrating, right? Magic has been quit by literally, I'm guessing, millions of people because of the frustration of Mana Screw. But you still need to have it. So it's this tightrope, right? Where you need to go, these puzzles are tough. I lost. How do I overcome this? Let me think. Maybe I need to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, if I have Beast, I can bounce all the Clog cards or whatever. You need to have solutions there, but you also need to have that challenge. But this type of thing, I would not be surprised if you made it 17% instead of 2 to 5%. You actually get people dropping out.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Whenever this deck is meaningfully good, it does present a bigger problem than other decks to the design team, I would argue, because of this. So it's like, this is not a deck that often gets support. Like, it's not a deck that, like, they're printing cards that are meant to go in here. I think the last time they did it, they printed a card that was like, oh, this is a card that's going to be a good clog card, and they had to just, like, absolutely nuke it. Like, Marvel Snap does very few nukes. They nuked this card. Like, they were like, it is now functionally no longer a clog card. If you use it to clog, it will not work. Like, literally, they were like, you stop it. Stop doing this.
So we called that on Hearthstone, Broad and Dodds, right? Called it Heart of the Card. So it sounds like they removed the heart of the card.
Yeah.
We did that with, I forget the name of it. If you remember, Warrior had the
Warsong Commander. Yes, I remember the name of
the
it.
heart of the card on that, which I think was a mistake. He was too good, needed to be nerfed, but just totally changing him to I don't know, made him, but
I know it was your damaged minions have charge, and it went to they get +1 attack.
+1 attack.
Yeah.
Is that a nerf? Yes, outrageous nerf, and it doesn't even do the thing it used to do, right?
Yes.
And that sucks too. And as much as I'm a proponent of balancing creates content, showing back up to your digital TCG after you took 6 months and you go, oh, I know what this card does, and then you play it and it doesn't do that is quite bad, right? Changing a 3 down to a 2, but it still does, roughly the same heart of the card, right? Roughly the same game text. Great. But surprise, your card that used to, gain you life now makes it, and what's going on? And then it's a big challenge, right? For digital TCG, all TCGs, but digital TCGs, you bring somebody back because you have a cool new theme, or they just have a life change and they're going to try Hearthstone again. And when they come back, they don't recognize any of the cards they do recognize have text. Big enemy of the design. Yeah.
In Marvel Snap, that's exacerbated because it's like, not only do you come back and not recognize any of these cards, the economy is so convoluted that you might not even know how to get them. And so you have to like work your way through that potential cliff as well. I don't think this is like particularly the venue for that. So I will just sort of leave that there and just put it in the corner and like acknowledge it. One thing I did want to ask you about though, as a game designer, I do want your perspective on this because there's something that I have like kind of a truther opinion about in game design. I know people quit Magic because of Mana Screw. I think lands are like actually genius and so far ahead. Like until we had digital card games, there wasn't a meaningful place to put that RNG that wasn't lands. And every time people are like, I'm going to fix the RNG, they just do versus system. And that's my like truther take on lands is that like actually they were the best thing anyone has ever done in card games.
Yes. So I love what you're saying. Once again, I've had tons of conversations about this with all the guys at Riot, right? We had a ton of conversations about this because it's so controversial when you're like, well, no, let's. Mana Screw, I believe, is too much.
Yeah.
Over the line.
I think that's reasonable.
But is it genius? Absolutely, right? Did Richard Garfield go back in time and make the best TCG, right? My opinion. Somehow the first TCG is.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, he's clearly a time traveler, right? By the way, Richard Garfield loves Galaxy. So yeah, but that makes me very happy. Could not be happier about that. But yeah, I totally agree. And those games probably seen, but some you haven't, right? They died before they got published. That we were working on very much tried to find that proper balance of I can't do everything in this game. I have some version of Mana Screw, right? Something like Curve Screw, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But maybe not to the extent of the challenge of Magic. Part of the problem with Magic is I don't intuitively, we were talking about it, intuitively understanding, I'm going to reveal cards and Snap. My opponent doesn't know what I'm playing. I'm going to surprise them. That's very unintuitive. I get it. I don't understand all the implications of that right away, but I get it, right?
Yes.
How many lands should I put in my 113 card deck that I first built for Magic? Is it 18? No, it's not. Not even close, but I don't, nobody gets that on day one of Magic. It's very hard to do that, right? Net decking is almost essential for most of the population for building a proper mana base. That's too much, right? And then, so other games have solved that in different ways. I think that I totally agree with you. Magic actually did hit something genius in the beginning, and it also helps control, right? Like, can I play Ball Lightning in a 5-color deck? This is a red card. Of course,
it's unbelievable,
right? It's amazing. Yeah.
Like I go back and I look at that and I'm just like, how did you even get to this? Like it's one of those things where you're just like, I don't know how this spawned 80% done out of your brain in 1992. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like
it's literally a genius, right? I think it's true. Also, some of his other card games have a different. I don't know if you played Netrunner, either the
I never
original.
played Netrunner, no.
Amazing game, love it, and it has a totally different version of frustration. It's much more. I would say it's closer to Snap, where it's kind of the gambling, guessing version. But it's awesome for totally different reasons, right? It does mana base confusion. Oh, my kids are getting home, so I better go.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
But it's genius for other reasons, and clearly Garfield has that instinct, right? And also the math PhD to be able to build those systems.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need that challenge, and you need the variety of game to game, which also is great on, right? Variety from game to game are huge for these games. Because if you make something, actually, that's one of my is that it is a little too consistent, and I kind of know 13-2 means I should not be playing the rest of the game, right? Which Snap has some of that too, but yeah.
All right, your kids are home. Shout out your game.
Yes.
Go see your kids.
I will do that. This was great. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Oh, okay.
Nice. All right, awesome. Thank you.
Bye. I'm assuming you want me to cut out the part where your kids showed up.
Oh, I mean, if you think it's good, great.
I think it's cute, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun way to quit. I don't mind his space.
That's the end. Everyone wave goodbye.
Okay, perfect. Hey, this was super fun. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.